Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
Welcome into the Safe Money Retirement Show. It's all powered by SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the founder, president, certified financial fiduciary, and of course, he's the star of the show. My name is Kevin McAlpin. Hope you're having a great day, and of course, we thank you so much for being with us here on the program. Lots to get to on today's show, and in just a few moments, Tim and I are going to talk, is boring better when it comes to retirement planning? Plus, we know the Fed is set to meet again next month over interest rates. So we'll tell you how Tim handles clients that may be on the fence when it comes to buying an annuity. We'll get to that and much, much more. But first things first, we say hello to the star of the show and my good buddy, Tim Wood. Tim, it's always great to be with you. How are you today, my friend?
I am doing well, Kevin. I hope you're doing well, and I hope everyone listening is doing well and enjoying these last days of summer. Before the cold weather sets in. You know, it's about football season, so we know the cold weather is not far behind. It's on its way.
I was reminding my kids of that just a few days ago. My son had baseball practice. He goes, man, it's hot out here. I said, remember that in December and January.
Right, when you're complaining.
We're putting 4 layers of clothes on just to walk down to the bus stop. So I said, enjoy these days, because it is crazy. I don't know about you, like the leaves are already falling in my front yard. I'm like, it's what's going on? It's still August.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
A little bit, yeah.
Time flies, man. It is hard to believe. And for those listening today, really interesting parallels, because as we talk about how fast 2025 has gone by, Tim, here we are. The fall months are here. The end of the year is right around the corner. And a lot of folks like to do those end of year checkups, if you will. So a good opportunity for them not to really be caught up in rush hour, if you will, and plan ahead and have a chance to sit down with you and really start working on that now, as opposed to when your calendar really fills up, right?
That's absolutely correct, because you're absolutely right. And especially with those RMDs, those required minimum distributions, a lot of people will literally wait until the very end of the year. And then the carriers are overloaded, or the companies or whoever it is are overloaded with people wanting to do RMDs. And you can do it at any point during the year. This is absolutely a perfect time before everything gets really crazy and we're into the holidays, and then we're into tax season. And, before you know it, we're back here again. This is a perfect time of year to sit down and really take a look at your overall plan and make sure that you're on track to get you where you want to go.
Time flies, man. They say it when you have little kids. The days are long, the years are short, and it is hard to believe we are into the final couple of weeks of summer, and the cool weather is right around the corner. If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to get on Tim's calendar now, keep this website handy, folks. It's SafeMoneyRetirement.com. SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Couple of clicks away, you can get on Tim Wood's calendar and you can start planning ahead for the end of the year. You don't want to get caught up in November and December when everybody's trying to get it all done at the same time. Again, SafeMoneyRetirement.com is the website. Well, Tim, we know the Fed is set to meet over interest rates coming up in just a couple of weeks in the middle of September. And obviously that means higher rates for at least another few weeks or so. Well, I want to play this for you. This is Mass Mutual's Kelly Kowalski recently discussing it on CNBC.
Higher interest rates for us mean higher earnings, higher reinvestment rates. One trend that we see with the higher interest rates is a lot of annuity sales. And we've just seen, really steady demand for annuities because people seek the relative certainty of return and safety.
All right. So, Tim, it's right there in the name of our show, Safe Money Retirement. So what do you tell clients who may come to you? Maybe they're still a little bit on the fence when it comes to buying an annuity. How do you handle those conversations, especially when it comes to planning for guaranteed income in retirement?
Well, exactly what Kelly said in that interview is correct. I mean, as soon as, I'll answer your question, but first let me say, as soon as the Fed lowers the rates, whenever that is, if that's going to be in September, like we think it is at either, 25 or 50 bips, whenever that happens, that's instantly going to lower the rates in the annuities and in CDs and in just about everything. So I have been preaching this to my current clients that are looking at possibly making a change and other clients I'm talking to and people that are calling in from the show and basically saying, listen, I'm not in any hurry. Honest to God, Kevin, this is what I tell people. I need business this August and I need business next August, and God willing, I'm going to need business in August 5 years from now. So the time frame is on them totally, but rates change. And as soon as the Fed changes that rate, rates are going to change. And if the Fed goes down by a half, then that's pretty much going to make a half lower on rates for everything across the board, including annuities. So what I'm telling people right now is, if you're really close, if you're really considering doing something, if you're really thinking about making a change, making a decision that's going to impact your retirement with one of these guaranteed income plans or a growth with no loss plan or whatever type of plan it is, really now's a good time. Because September, you might get half a point less, and then it could go down again in October, and now we could be a full point less. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but brother, you look at over 20 or 30 years, 1 point is a massive difference.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely. Right now, if someone is anywhere close or really wanting to look at that as a potential, really good time. If you don't already have one, get a copy of my book. This is a great time to get a copy of my book and look at what your options are, and let's sit down and talk about it while the rates are high. Because right now we are at pretty historic highs. Now's a great time to get moving on that.
Let me ask you this too, because I know annuities, there's all kinds of varying opinions about annuities. What are some of the biggest misconceptions maybe you've heard over the years? Because again, I know that people will hear one way or the other. They might love them, they might hate them. But what are some of the things you've heard over the years that maybe you've helped your clients really sift through some of that noise when it comes to sitting down and really explaining how they work?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm smiling because I literally had an appointment yesterday, and that's exactly what we went over. And there's several things, but here's the biggest thing. A lot of the people that say they don't like annuities. Now, this isn't 100%, obviously. I'm generalizing, but a lot of the people that say they don't like annuities say that because they're talking about variable annuities. A variable annuity can have super high fees, and you still can lose money in it. That's why a lot of these products have really bad reputations. Everything that Safe Money Retirement does, and if you're listening, no matter who you go with, make sure you're in a fixed product. Fixed products have no chances for losses, and the base annuity contract on fixed products has no fees. So if you pay a fee, there's a reason you're paying the fee. You know what that benefit is, and you're choosing to pay that fee for whatever that benefit is. And of course, that's something that you're going over with your advisor. But that's one of the honestly, that's not one of, that is the biggest thing, is a lot of people just think they don't like annuities, period. But it's because there are a lot of negatives out there with variable annuities, high fees, you can still lose money. So staying away from those, and for anyone that's read my book, I say in my book, I wouldn't touch a variable annuity with a 10-foot pole. That's why I don't have variable licenses. I'm licensed in over half of the country, and I don't have a variable license in any of those states. It's all fixed products. So that's really the biggest thing. The only other thing is there are some people every once in a while, if they want to have access, if they want that money to be liquid, then an annuity might not be the right fit for them, period. And I'll tell them that. If you want to have access to 100% of those funds, do not put it in an annuity, because you're not going to have access to 100% of it without penalties and fees. And we certainly don't want to put your money in something and then you wind up getting it out and having to pay a penalty just to get your money. What we do is we figure out how much of your money do you absolutely need to protect in case something happens in the market, in the world, whatever. That's what we put into an annuity. That's money that you're not going to pull it out to go on a vacation. You're not going to pull it out to do a down payment for a car. If you need a new roof, you're not going to pull it out of that. That's money that you are not going to touch, that's going to be earmarked for income for growth with no losses, for long-term care, for leaving a legacy when you're gone, for whatever it is, boils down to making a plan. Like you hear me say every single show, make a plan and make it with someone that's a certified financial fiduciary and is independent and can show you all your options.
And that person is Tim Wood. He's with Safe Money Retirement. If you'd like to learn more about annuities and how they could be a piece of your retirement puzzle, maybe you've heard some mixed messaging. Maybe you'd like to act before the Fed meets in a couple of weeks in the middle of September. Folks, keep this number handy, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or online, you can always reach Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, I read an article recently on bankrate.com, and it said if you're worried about the stock market going down and taking your retirement money with it, do these two things. One, avoid the craziness of all the latest stocks and trends, and two, embrace the boring because there's nothing wrong with 4 and 5% returns. So let's talk about it, Tim. Is boring better when it comes to retirement planning?
In some cases, it actually is. I can remember, because I've been doing this for quite a while, I can remember years ago when the market was way down, people didn't want to get into these products because they were saying, well, I want my retirement to grow back up and overcome the losses before I get into one of these. Well, guess where we are now, people? There is a huge bubble. I mean, there's been days where we've literally had the highest, the market's been as high as it's ever been, historically, which means we're in a big bubble, just like the tech bubble and other bubbles that we have seen in the past. Well, let me ask you, and everyone listening, answer this question. What happens to a bubble?
Well, sometimes they burst.
They do. All of them. Every single one ever bursts. And if you look at the history of the market, have there been some really great bull years? Absolutely. But guess what happens? 100% of the time, what goes up must come down. Now is a good time to, yes, embrace that boring. Avoiding the craziness, that's really hard to do, especially if you follow the news outlets and media. I mean, I've got some people that literally that's their day. They're on Wall Street Journal and MSNBC.com and this and that. And, they're calling me and they're literally going, what do I do? Literally, yes. When you're younger, does that make sense? I still would back off a little, but it makes more sense than when you're getting close to retirement. Because someone that's in their 30s or 40s, if they made a wrong move and they lost 50% of their money, yes, would that be awful? Of course. But you've got time to recover. In my book, I talk about the time horizon. Someone that's in their 30s or 40s has 20 or 30 years before they really need to worry about retirement. So if you lose 50%, yes, it's awful. But a lot of us lost 50% in 2000, then got it back, and then lost it again in 2008, and then got it back. It's this constant cycle. You've got time. But the problem is, and those, again, who have read my book know this, my father retired in 2000. Those 4 years, the market went down 50% while he was taking money out for retirement. That's why he lost over 75% of his retirement in the first 4 years and had to go back to work. So, yeah, boring is absolutely, I don't want to put it that way, but that's really where you want to be in retirement. Is it boring to know that you've got a guaranteed income coming in every month? Compared to going crazy in the market, I guess it could be. Yeah. But brother, that's the kind of boring I want. I want to know if I've got $2,200 extra coming in every single month and I spend it this month, guess what? It's coming in next month. Is that boring? I guess it might be a little boring compared to playing in the market, but knowing that what's going to happen 100%, you can't lose any. If you wake up tomorrow and the market crashes by 20%, guess what? You didn't lose a penny. Mm-hmm. That, yes, boring like that, I'll take that all day, especially in retirement.
Well, if you are looking to get more details, maybe you're one of those folks that is always constantly checking the tickers, always reading the paper, always trying to get your news on social media, and maybe you think boring could be better when it comes to planning for your retirement. Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. Give him a call today, get on his calendar, schedule that initial consultation, and better yet, pick up a copy of his book along the way as well. It is also entitled Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. If you'd like to take a peek, you'd like to start diving into that book, and again, have that conversation with Tim and his team, 800-913-SAFE. That is the number to reach Tim and his team. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or, of course, you can always reach Tim online. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, that's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, coming up next, if you put a retirement plan together years ago, Tim and I are going to dive into some strategies that may be a little outdated here in 2025. Plus, we're hearing more and more talk about a possible recession. So what exactly does that mean for you as you plan for your retirement? We'll get to that and more as we continue with this week's edition of Safe Money Retirement with Tim Wood right after this.
You're driving along when you realize...
Oh, I've got to get over. Oh my gosh, sorry.
You didn't see him, did you? He was in your blind spot. You can also have a blind spot when it comes to your retirement. That's where Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement comes in. They know about a little blind spot called taxes. Social Security, your pension, your investment, all can be taxable. Look, you don't want to end up saying...
Will I be writing huge checks to the government when I retire?
Don't get blindsided by taxes. Make sure your retirement has a tax plan with one call to Tim Wood and Safe Money Retirement. 800-919-SAFE. That's 800-919-7233. Or online at safemoneyretirement.com.
Welcome back into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. We hope you're having a great day. And of course, we thank you for joining us, hoping to provide you with a lot of information when it comes to planning for your retirement. Obviously, we spent some time earlier talking about, obviously, the Fed getting set to meet in the middle of September and what effect that could have on your annuities. Maybe you're still on the fence about an annuity, or is boring better when it comes to retirement planning? You want to learn more? Reach Tim online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, folks, that website is safemoneyretirement.com. All right, Tim, you know I've got a couple of young kids. I've got a fifth grader and a pre-Ker, so I'll have a middle schooler and a kindergartner next year, so I'll just start the whole elementary school thing all over again. Reason I bring it up, the school buses are out there running, traffic's picking up a little bit more, and it is back to school time. Like we mentioned earlier, it's just hard to believe. I feel like we're just talking about the beginning of the year and mid-year checkups and start of summer, and kids are back to school. It is amazing how quick this year is going by, isn't it?
It is, and it's going to be like 5 minutes. It's going to be time to put the tree back up. You know what I'm saying?
But the reason I bring up back to school time, Tim, I'm sure you can relate to this a little bit. There's a lot of things we learned in school that, let's be honest, isn't really applicable to us now in our working years. Let me give you a couple examples. Did your kids ever play the recorder when they were younger?
Absolutely, and so did I.
You did?
Yes.
Well, if you'd like to hear Tim do a little rendition of a song on a recorder, please let us know. Go to the website, safemoneyretirement.com. Maybe we can make that a segment down the road. But I did play the recorder as well. My mom kept it in the attic for over 30 years and decided when she came to visit, hey, let's give it to the grandkids. I said, Mom, what is wrong with you? My kids are running around the house, and I got to be honest with you, Tim, when they went to school the next day, that thing accidentally found its way in the trash can. I'm not sure how.
Oh, no.
Somehow. I don't know how it got there. Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
It just ended up there. Let me give you a couple of more. Long division, fifth grade math. These are things that I still have trouble figuring it out. Reason I bring it up, though, for our listeners who are planning for retirement, maybe some folks put plans together 10, 15, 20 years ago, and maybe they're using some outdated strategies, some things that aren't really applicable here in 2025. So if you do a second opinion with somebody who has a plan in place, what are some of those strategies you can uncover and help them realize that maybe there are different vehicles available now here as technology continues to evolve?
Yeah, there's two things, Kevin, that come to mind immediately. The number one thing is the 60-40 split. I mean, that's what everyone has always thought. 60-40 split, 60 stocks, 40 bonds. Is that the best thing always? Maybe back in the 80s and 90s it was. Today, not necessarily. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing, and this is even bigger because, of course, we're focused on retirement. Back in the 80s, a financial advisor named William Bengen came up with the 4% withdrawal rule. And basically, he did some math, and he proved that if you only withdraw 4% from your account, that you should last through retirement. Well, they've done new calculations. PhDs have done new calculations over the last few years. 4% is way too much, people. It's really more like 2.5, between 2 and 2.5. And that's just to give you a 90-something percentile chance, because some people could live, into their hundreds, and who knows what's going to happen in the market. So that second one really is the biggest one that I want to focus on real quick because of the retirement. Just taking 4% out and hoping that you're going to have enough to get you through retirement. Is that what you want to do? I mean, for some people, maybe it is. And if some people like climbing volcanoes when they're about to go off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's fine. If that's what your thing is, go get them. But that's not what my clients want. We, instead of just pulling out 4% out of your account and hoping, because that's just what you've always heard, because that's what they say, instead of doing that, how about we get you into a product that's going to pay you significantly more than 4% on a guaranteed basis that you cannot outlive and that your spouse can't outlive? So you can have a chunk of money, you can just pull out 4% and pray to God that you don't outlive it and the market doesn't drop and all of these other things. Or you can take that same chunk of money, put it into one of these guaranteed lifetime annuity plans. It'll pay you more than 4%, significantly more, depends on your age and state and all that stuff. So I can't give rates right this moment, but significantly more than 4%. And there's no way to outlive it. Mm-hmm. So that's really the biggest thing that I see a lot. I mean, a lot, like almost daily, I have clients that say, oh, well, I'm taking out the 4% like you're supposed to. Okay, that was great back in the 80s and 90s. Believe it or not, that was 30 years ago or 40 years ago. It doesn't seem like it should be, but it was. Things are different now. The market is, as everyone that follows it knows, is just crazy right now. We're in this crazy bubble that's going to pop at some point, like we were discussing earlier. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you've got the income, because as my listeners have heard me say for years, in retirement, income is everything. Income is what brings happiness in retirement. Assets bring stress.
Let me ask you this too. When it comes to outdated philosophies or mindsets or strategies, I think back to my dad. I think back to my grandparents. 65 was always that year. You circled. I know some folks actually have countdowns on their phones to the day they turn 65. We used to think that was the norm, but now you see folks working into their 70s. Heck, there's some folks that work into their upper 70s. So when, much like that, 65, that magic number has shifted, what are some other things that maybe have shifted that could still, have some pieces that, can still be applicable, but maybe they've just changed a little bit and maybe adjusted over the years?
Well, I would say what you just said, 65 is still a big number for a lot of people because that's when Medicare kicks in. Yeah. But are a lot of people still working past 65? You better believe it. And you can start Medicare at 65, or you can delay it as long as you're working at, got insurance. That's what's called creditable coverage. That's a whole other thing you can go into with your Medicare specialist. But what I'm also seeing a lot of that's different is people wanting to retire before 65. A lot of people these days are wanting to make a plan, in their late 30s or 40s, they're contacting us and saying, hey, I don't want to work till 65. I want to try to retire at 55 or whatever. What can I do now? I'm 40. I just talked to a dude yesterday, was 42. Great guy out of Georgia. And he's like, man, I'm 42. I'm doing really well. I do not want to work another 23 years. I want to work about another 10 or 15 years and be done. And while I'm still young enough to enjoy it, go do whatever I want with my wife. Do whatever I want with my grandkids. Go have fun. That's one of the big changes is people, like you said, had that mindset that it had to be 65. A lot of people are actually wanting to get out of the rat race before then. So making a plan, but also, making a plan for if you want to keep working after 65, because some people just want to, some people need to. Mm-hmm. Two totally different things, So looking at both of those again, I'm going to say it again, make a plan. Wherever you are right now, sit down with someone, make a plan. Don't rely on old, outdated ideas and old, outdated formulas and numbers and all that kind of garbage. Sit down with someone, look at what's going on today, what's going on in the market, what's going on in the world, what's going on with you. What's your situation? What's your next 5, 10, 20, 30 years look like? Let's make a plan.
If you'd like to have more conversations about making that plan, you'd like to sit down with somebody who does this day in and day out and obviously is extremely passionate about helping folks plan for their retirement, Tim Wood and Safe Money Retirement, they are just a phone call away. Give him a call today. Get on his calendar by dialing 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number, folks, is 800-913-7233. Or, of course, you can always reach Tim anytime online. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, that's safemoneyretirement.com. Yeah, maybe you'd like that second opinion. Maybe you've got that plan you feel like has some old, outdated strategies. Well, Tim and his team are here. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, we've heard a lot of economists here who say that they won't really see the effects of tariffs until the end of summer, maybe even into the fall months. Well, here we are. We are just talking about that. Fall is right around the corner. And Mark Zandi of Moody's recently explained he's keeping a close eye on unemployment numbers here over the next couple of weeks.
Once one company in an industry lays off, you tend to see all the other companies in that industry lay off as well. And you can go from no layoffs to a lot of layoffs pretty quickly. Hopefully American consumers hang tough, continue to do their thing, don't pull back, and, we'll avoid that downturn. But if they do pull back even a little bit and businesses respond by laying off, you get into that kind of self-reinforcing vicious cycle called a recession.
All right, so Tim, there's a lot of folks listening today. They've heard the word recession, right? We hear that thrown around a lot in the media, but might not necessarily exactly understand what it means and how long they can last. So if you could, we try to simplify the process of retirement here on the show. Just explain to folks what exactly that could mean for them, especially those listeners who are inching closer and closer towards retirement.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me start with what the actual definition of recession is from the National Bureau of Economic Research. They actually define it as a significant decline in economic activity that is spread across the economy and lasts more than a few months. So a little tiny blip for a month or even 2 months, that's not a recession. That's just a quick little blip, downturn, whatever. A recession is a long-term thing. How long do they last? The average recession in this country lasts 17 months. Now, that's the average going all the way back to 1854. But if you were to look at more recent recessions, they average about 10 months. But you've got to be prepared for them. So, essentially, again, I hate to keep going back and saying the same thing over and over, but being prepared for when this happens, because the positive always leads to negative. Up always leads to down. Down always leads to up. That's just the way these things work. They're cyclical. Basically, what causes a recession is the economy overheats as demand grows faster than supply, essentially. Again, the bubble in the market contributes to this, which we're in right now, that we've already spoke about earlier today. It expands past unemployment and employment and the capacity of the country's resources. And there's also other causes that can make the bubble rupture or cause economic shock. There's a lot of different things that can bring on a recession. But essentially, when you're getting close to retirement, like you just mentioned, Kevin, this is the key. When you're getting close to retirement, whether that recession comes or not, you need to be prepared. And if that recession does come, you need to know you've got enough guaranteed income. Because what's going to happen in a recession? Things are going to go down. That's what the definition of a recession is. And it's everything. And a lot of times when there's a recession, do you think the price of groceries is going to go down, Kevin? Do you see that happening ever?
I'm going to assume no. Yeah.
I haven't ever seen that. So we've had all this inflation. And then when the money starts going down, guess what? The cost of food, your power company is not going to call you and go, well, I know we're in a recession, so we're going to lower the kilowatt per hour rate. No, they're not going to do that.
Right.
Your internet company is not going to lower your internet service. Your phone company is not going to, the bills are still going to be what they are, but everything else in the economy underlying is going to be lower. That's why recessions hurt a lot of people. Make a plan for it now. Make sure you've got enough guaranteed income so it doesn't matter, so you can still cover those bills even when we're in a recession. Because like I said, everything is cyclical. Market has been going crazy for this last little bit. Sooner or later, it's going to stop. Economy's been doing great. Sooner or later, it's going to go the other way. So just making sure you're prepared for a recession, not if, but when it happens.
Obviously, you'd like to have that plan in place so you don't have to constantly check the news, be stressing over your retirement. If you'd like to put a plan in place now in the event that that does happen later, again, as Tim said, markets go up, markets go down. You don't want to have to worry about all that economic noise when you get into retirement. Give Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement a call today. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number, 800-913-7233, or online anytime, safemoneyretirement.com. Don't forget, folks, if you'd also like to schedule that complimentary appointment with Tim, schedule that 15-20-minute conversation, pick up a copy of his book as well. Get more details online anytime, safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, this half hour has just zipped right on by, and we are quickly running out of time. But before we do, my friend, I'd love to leave the floor all yours for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. Great show. Hope everyone enjoyed it today. We went over a bunch of stuff today, but there's two real big things I just want to hit on one more time that were super important. Number one, the Fed is meeting soon, and everyone thinks they're going to lower the rates. That is going to affect everything in the retirement, in the investment industry. It's going to affect everything. If you're on the fence, if you're thinking about doing anything, now is a good time to really make that serious look and decide what you want to do. That's number one. Number two, we talked about does it make sense to be boring in your retirement? Well, again, it might be boring to not be in the market and have to go up or down or what's going on today and yes, in retirement, boring is a beautiful thing because having that boring income coming in every single month that you can't outlive. And then if you pass that your spouse can't outlive, is it boring? Yes. Is it sexy? You better believe it is. So those two things are something to really keep in mind. And I look forward to hearing from anyone. Just reach out. That 15-minute discovery call is free to any of the listeners. Just give us a call. We'll also send you a free copy of the book if you want, because we want to make sure you have your own Safe Money Retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.